Hello, this is Algebra, topic 7-1 on solving quadratic equations by factoring. So let's think back. What times 8 will give us 0? Well, 0 will. And what times 3 will give us 0? 0. So x times 0 will give us 0. And 0 times 0 will still give us 0. So for product of 0, what must be true? That 1 or more factors equal 0. Okay? So if I can get one or more factors to be 0, then the product is 0. So a quadratic equation is an equation that when in standard form it looks like this. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And so one way to solve this is by factoring. If I want to figure out what x is, I can factor it. And so, here I need to set each of these to 0. So if x is 0, then this is 0. Or if x minus 2 equals 0, then it's 0. So I add 2 to both sides, and I get that x equals 2. So my answer is both 0 and 2. Let's go ahead and look at example number 2. Alright, so I need to set this equal to 0, so x minus 3 equals 0. I also need to set the other one to 0, so x plus 4 equals 0. Well, if I add 3 to both sides, I get that x equals 3. If I subtract 4 from both sides, I get that x equals negative 4. And so those are my answers, 3 and negative 4. Let's go ahead and have a look at number 3. Well, I'm going to set both of them to 0. 2n minus 4 equals 0. And 3n plus 5 equals 0. So I need to add 4 to both sides. I get that 2n equals 4. Divide both sides by 2, I get that n equals 2. Over here, if I subtract 5 from both sides, I get that 3n equals negative 5. Divide both sides by 3, and I get that n equals negative 5 thirds. And so you've seen, if I have it in factors, all I need to do is put each part to 0. Well, let's take a look at number 4. This guy looks a little confused. You may be as well because it's not in factors. We have to factor it. So we're going to do ourselves a little bit of a box. Break this into box method. So 2x squared negative 28, a sum of negative 1x, and a product of negative 56x squared. So we look at 56 negative. Well, 56 will divide by 7 and give us 8. And because we want a negative 1, the 8 will be negative. So this is negative 8x and 7x. To factor it, 2 will go into 8, so 2x and x. X times 7 is 7x, and 2x times negative 4 is negative 8. And 7 and negative 4 give me negative 28. So my factors are x minus 4 and 2x plus 7. This equals 0. From here, we just solve them. X minus 4 equals 0. 2x plus 7 equals 0. If I add 4 to both sides, I get that x equals 4. If I subtract 7, 2x equals negative 7. Divide by 2, x equals negative 7 over 2. And so that's our answer. So if it's already factored for you, all you do is set each factor to 0 and solve. If it's not, then use your box method or do it mentally if you can. To get it into factors, set each of those to 0 and solve each one. Either way, we are getting two separate answers. Let's go ahead and turn the page. Well, here we're at number 5, and it's not set equal to 0. So we're going to have to force it to be set equal to 0. So I'm going to add 5a to both sides and subtract 24 from both sides. That will cancel. 24 minus 24 is 0. Negative 5a plus 5a is 0. When I put it all over here, I get a squared plus 5a minus 24 equals 0. Now, you may be asking, why did I move two things instead of just moving one? Well, the reason is that I want this a squared term to be positive. That's going to make this a whole lot easier if this term is always positive. Let's go ahead and do our box. We have a squared, negative 24, a sum of 5a, a product of 24a squared. So we break down 24. We get 2 and 12, 3 and 8. Because we want this to be a negative 24, I need one of my answers to be negative, so we're going to do 3. Negative 3 plus 8 equals 5. So that means that this is negative 3a and 8a. The only way to get a squared is a times a. A times negative 3, a times a positive 8. So we get a minus 3, a plus 8 equals 0. So a minus 3 equals 0, a plus 8 equals 0. Over here I get a equals 3, and over here I get a equals negative 8. Okay. If you didn't know how I got these, then you seriously need to go work on some of your more basic algebra. I added 3 and I subtracted 8. Hopefully by this time you can go ahead and start solving some of these without always writing exactly what it is you're doing. Go ahead and move on to number 6. Now, I want my squared term to always be positive, so I'm going to add 3x squared to both sides. And so I get 3x squared. I'm going to go ahead and put this minus 19x first, plus 6 equals 0. The reason is this puts it in a format that I am familiar with. We go to our box, 3x squared, 6. We want a sum of negative 19. We want a product of 18. Well, if I do 18, 18 and 1 will give me 19. And if they're both negative, they give me negative 19. So negative 18 and negative 1. Well, the only way to get 3x squared is to do 3x and x. X times negative 1 is negative 1x. X times negative 6 is negative 18x. And negative 1 times negative 6 is positive 6. So now we have that x minus 6, 3x minus 1 equals 0. So x minus 6 equals 0. 3x minus 1 equals 0. So x equals 6. Over here we add 1. 3x equals 1. X equals 1/3. And so we've just simply broken it down again. Get everything to one side, 0 on the other. Use your box method or mental math to go ahead and factor it out. Set your factors equal to 0 and solve. All very simple. Let's go ahead and have a look at number 7. Here it says the area of a rectangular room is given by this equation, where w squared minus 7w equals 18. And we want to find the width. Well, I need to subtract 18 from both sides, which will give me w squared minus 7w minus 18 equals 0. From here we box method. W squared, negative 18, sum of negative 7w, product of negative 18w squared. We break down our 18, 2 and 9, with the 9 being negative and the 2 being positive. Negative 9w, 2w. So w times w gives me w squared minus 9 plus 2, w minus 9, w plus 2 equals 0, w minus 9 equals 0, w plus 2 equals 0, w equals 9, w equals negative 2. So, yes, some of these problems actually take a little bit of time. They take some work. Hopefully by now your factoring skills are up to par, and so this really shouldn't be that big of a deal. It's first factor, then set each factor to 0 and solve, like I've said several times before. This time it may take you a little bit longer because each individual problem is a little bit longer, so take your time, but do your best and have a good day.